So the Utah Jazz are not new to the wonderful trade rumors that just tend to do their rounds during the offseason, and they have had their fair share. Most recently, it has been Walker Kessler, and today we're going to be kind of orbiting that topic, but overall just talking about the best trade assets or the ones that other teams seem to be the most interested in, or potentially during this season could see the most interest in potentially making a move on. With that being said, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. We do this almost every day. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop into this one. Now, to start out, they said in an article on the Utah Jazz Sports Illustrated page that the untouchable players would be Lauri Markkanen, obviously, because he signed his deal in a way that would prevent him from being traded during this season, at the very least, Keyonte George and Cody Williams. Obviously, Keyonte George being the occasional shining star from the previous season as a rookie, and then, once again, Cody Williams, who was just drafted, and as the highest draft pick, of course, he warrants the most opportunity to make mistakes, grow, and just show what he's worth. Now, previously, they would have said Walker Kessler, but there have been a couple changes in his game. That said, Greg Schwartz actually had this to say about the three players that are the most tradable, being Walker Kessler, Colin Sexton, and Jordan Clarkson. He said about Kessler looked like an untouchable member of Utah's core following a strong rookie season, yet he was only a part-time starter in year 2. The 23-year-old is an elite rim protector and a good rebounder, yet appears to be limited in his future offensive roles. Regarding Colin Sexton, he said Sexton is coming off of the best season of his career, where he averaged 21.1 points and 5.6 assists, shooting 41.8% from 3 in his 51 starts that year. He's done a good job improving his shooting efficiency and regularly gives great effort on defense. Lastly, leading to Jordan Clarkson, he said, "It's surprising Clarkson is still in Utah, as he's the prototypical sixth man for a title contender given his microwave scoring and improved playmaking." Now, the only one that I really have a little bit to say about is probably the Jordan Clarkson one, because the reason why he's still in Utah, at the very least because of last season, was because of the poor efficiency that he had. He shot career worst numbers from the field and from three-point range, and was his most turnover-prone self. While he has improved as a playmaker, that is true, it seems not to be a natural evolution in his game, and that's why his turnovers have also increased. So to say that it's making him a prototypical six-man, I don't know if we would want to say that. Now again, the reason that he probably lost some of his efficiency was because he was required to take on more of a playmaking role last year, because we didn't really have great playmakers at the beginning of the season. And that's where he had particularly most of his starts and subsequently a lot of his worst, so to speak, shooting splits and just turnover games. That said, he has not been lost in the endless vacuum of NBA players to, fall off the edge of a cliff when it comes to their prime coming to a close, and I don't think he's quite washed just yet. So I do expect in the beginning of the season we're going to see a lot of Jordan Clarkson minutes. I don't expect him to start, but I would expect him to play 28 to 34 minutes on any nightly basis, at the very least over the first 30 games of the season, which would allow him to show exactly why he was the sixth man of the year in 2021. I agree with him regarding Colin Sexton. As much as I would love to keep him in Utah and have him being that main guy alongside Lauri Markkanen, and then seeing which of the young guys develop, as well as whoever they can grab from this upcoming draft, so long as things go according to plan and the player also pans out, I could see a world where Sexton does get offloaded because they don't love his size. Because that's the biggest gripe with him. Over the end of the season, he was much improved when it came to change of pace, when it came to being a playmaker, when it came to turnover proneness, when it came to not being a black hole on offense, and just as soon as the ball touches his hands, the possession dies with him. That stopped as the season went on, and it was a wonderful evolution to watch. I'm sure many people would agree, and some people would say that they haven't seen enough, and that's reasonable to say as well. But because of that, and because of how good he was, that also makes him a very reliable trade commodity for other teams. And when you have other teams that are looking for, whether it be a six-man kind of guy or just somebody that can provide a secondary scoring punch in the starting lineup, he is a very well-to-do individual in that aspect. Walker Kessler, however, I think deserves this full year to prove that he has not been what he needs to be. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I just want him to make new mistakes. I want to see the most aggressive version of Walker Kessler we have ever seen. He doesn't have to hit all of his shots, but I need to see him getting nasty down there in the paint. because there's nothing worse than seeing somebody that has all the potential and ability in the world, but doesn't play the way that you envision them being at the peak of their powers at some point in their career. DeAndre Ayton is the model of what you would love your big to be built as from a physical standpoint. He also has the range from long twos that he shoots a very substantial amount of and actually hits a very high clip on. He's top 5 in the league over the past couple of years. But the reason why people get on him is because he's never been a dog when it comes to driving at the rim, when it comes to finishing in the paint. That's just never been a big part of his game, even though he looks the part of somebody that would be able to do it very, very efficiently. Walker Kessler, I do not want to see fall into that role. I don't know if he'll ever be able to be a completely respectable three-point shooter. But as far as a lob threat, as far as a low post scoring option, as far as being able to properly set pick and rolls and do dribble handoffs with the likes of Colin Sexton, Keontae George, and others, I think that he has that in his bag. As a rebounder, I think he could get better because over the end of the season, we saw John Collins being a more tenacious rebounder. We saw him being more aggressive on the glass, and Walker Kessler was a little bit easier to just move out of the way, a little bit easier to put down, so to speak. And I think overall, his effort is going to be what makes him or breaks him as an NBA player. He has the tools. Defensively, he's always there. On the perimeter, he's not the most fleet of foot, but he's also not nearly as too left-footed as Rudy Gobert happens to be. So he's not as easily exposed. And to that tune, he was top 5 last year when it came to protection of the rim as far as percentages go when opponent field goals with him on the court, and it showed when he was on the floor. Overall, though, these 3 players, I do believe, over this season at the very least, will have the most high likelihood of being traded. I don't know about John Collins just yet because some people are apparently talking about him having no trade value because of how expensive he is and the potential that the Utah Jazz will either have to wait until the very last year of his contract or they're just going to have to keep him the entirety of his contract because he just doesn't present enough value for most teams to take a crack at him. And that's understandable. But I just wanted to make this video to go ahead and get a little bit of a jump on things, talk about these 3 guys. I found this article to be very interesting. I do agree that obviously Lauri Markkanen and Cody Williams and Keontae George should not be tradable. I also think that Taylor Hendricks should belong in that non-tradable box because he still hasn't had a substantial amount of minutes, in my personal opinion, that makes me say, oh, you know what, he might not be for us, because I really liked what I saw from him last year. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't terrific, but it was pretty darn good in the minutes that we saw when he wasn't in the G League. And in the G League, while he didn't put up monstrous numbers, he also wasn't a bad shooter by any stretch of the imagination. And as a stretch 4 that we expect him to be, or a small ball 5, I think he has that potential. So take it with a grain of salt. I feel that way. If you feel that way, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. Is there another player that you think could be potentially traded or might garner the attention of other teams and the fact that they might, just gauge a little bit of interest regarding those particular players? Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I'm always interested to hear what you have to say. I'll respond to as many as I can. With that being said, it's your boy Ray Tubes. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. Go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, become a member, or drop a donation to help support the content. And as always, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.